Good evening. Hello, my beautiful darlings. Welcome to my kitchen. Buonasera. Come va? Sono nella cucina stasera, solo per te. Dirmi, parlami, cosa stai facendo stasera? Sei nella tua cucina anche? Are you in your kitchen? What are you doing tonight? Share with me, speak to me, whisper me words of your wisdom. Let's get into the body language, baby. Let's all take a deep breath because, you know, you get a little groove on, you get a little move on, the body moves, and you got all that prana flowing, energy and motion. Blood, full moon, wolf, lunar eclipse. We just had this evening, actually early morning, in the twilight hours. Feel that energy just drip into every cell of your being as you breathe the life force. Breathe that prana. Bring it in, baby. Expand on the inhale. Contract but elongate on the exhale. Inhale all that pranic energy, revitalizing, energizing all your cells. Exhale whatever no longer serves you, and elongate and become taller and leaner. So on an expansion and on an inhale, we are actually expanding outward, and then on the exhale we're elongating as we contract and squeeze it all up and out. So there's nothing more important than your breath, and it's the one thing we take the most for granted now, isn't it? If you are someone who suffers with breathing issues, ask yourself, how am I cutting off my life force? In what ways in my life am I not allowing myself to fully take in, breathe in, open my heart, open my lungs, and allow my vulnerability to shine forth? This is something that I feel is very important with the breath, that you recognize that the breath is the sustainer, maintainer, and without it, we can't exist. Your body does it without your even knowing half the time because we're not thinking about our breath. But when we're in different states, we're dancing the emotional spectrum. We're neutral, we're excited, we're upset, we're moving, we're shaking. Energy is constantly moving. And at every different stage, that breath is flowing in different ways. So let's tap in and tune in to what is really going on within. Let's get rapping in the kitchen, right? If this is your first time, you know sharing is caring, and I want to know where you're tuning in from and what are your health fitness goals. What are you wanting to create and manifest in 2019? Let us be your accountability ninjas and up your vibe by embracing you in all that you want. Because that's what this is about. It's about united we stand. We're striving to thrive this year, not just getting by anymore. No more survive. That in itself says struggle. So, the first thing I wanted to share is I went out today, lots of running around. The car, I have a hybrid, has this check engine light that says IMA system, which has to do with the hybrid battery. So, God willing, it might be time for an upgrade, and I'm open to that. However, we are meant to receive it. You know, you have to be open to receive. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm grateful for that. Whatever and whenever it should arrive. How about that? So I picked up flowers because flowers make me happy and there's always positive energy. Flowers are very healing, believe it or not. You'd be surprised the vibration that flowers will give off and help and contribute to healing. So how many of you out there got to see our lunar eclipse of the moon and the sun last night, the blood red moon. Did anybody out there see that? I want to hear, what was that experience like for you? What are you experiencing actually, right? I know it's one of my little things. I sometimes say right a lot. I'm aware of that. It's all good. So again, I love flowers, and when I was a little girl, I think I've told this before, but if you have never tuned in, you never heard this before. So, for, how many times I've said it. When I was a little girl, we moved from Boston up into Holton, Maine. Hodgdon was the country where our home was. And so my parents wanted us to have a better life. And when we were in the country, we could see the stars in the sky so much more vivid because there was less light pollution from street lights and all. And I used to crawl out on the roof right next to my bedroom window so I could lay on the roof at the angle and just stare up at the stars. And I was really fascinated by stars and astronomy and constellations and also astrology. Who remembers those little round tubes you could buy in the store? I think they were Zorba or Zora or something like that. And they were a lot of money. I think it was like $2 for just your own horoscope read. And I'm a Leo. Now, mind you, this particular full moon is in Leo. And we're also in Aquarius. It was a north-south node, I think, semi-square, sesquare, something like that. So I'm aware of what I feel. I kind of dabble in astrology, but I don't have all the answers. I'm just aware that there's some things that kind of mix and match. And other times I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense, even if I don't know all the answers to it, right? So being fascinated and me being a Leo, a lioness, if you've seen some of my silly videos, the lion is all about the heart. The lion is all about vulnerability, but courageous vulnerability in the sense that it takes a lot as a lion to bare our hearts. But when we're loyal to a fault a lot of times, sometimes to our detriment and sometimes to our upliftment. And it's about self, which isn't a bad thing. I want people to remember that a lot of our culture has conditioned us to think that we're not supposed to think of ourselves. But if you don't put on that safety oxygen mask first, you're not going to be able to take care of anybody else. So it's about balancing that self. And I have a Libra rising, which is all about balance, creating the healthy boundaries, creating that self-love, but also taking care of others, because that's my nature, both, trying to figure them out at the same time. I haven't really lived I won't say I haven't been selfish in my life, but I've always been about trying to take care of others. And most of the time, as I learned through much of my trainings, most of the time taking care of others has been at my own desire to feel comfortable. And I'm aware of that if I felt uncomfortable, I just wanted to help someone else feel comfortable to make me feel comfortable. And that's humbleness and humility to recognize that, because often we think we're helping someone and it's only a subtle form of control just so we can feel better about ourselves. So I have sought to help others also because it makes me feel good about myself, but also makes me feel more comfortable, right? Anybody out there relate with me? Just a question. So I really like to see everyone happy and successful and living their fullest, richest life. Now, the opposite sign of Leo, believe it or not, is Aquarius. And the Aquarius is the water bearer and can be very much on those swinging, its emotions, its water, its ebbs and flows. And Aquarians are very much about selfless service. So there's no coincidence to me, the opposite ends of the spectrum, a Leo and an Aquarian, is you've got the balancing of both. Not overdoing it for others, but finding and seeking self-love and healthy boundaries so that you can sustain, maintain, and take care of others. So this kind of true time is really about coming into your own and how are you able to serve with the gifts that you have come into this life. Any obstacles and challenges you've had in your life are your gift, are exactly why you're here. Every experience experience we've had brings us to where we're meant to be at all times. When you show up in the moment and you just recognize this is serving you every moment, that's what builds that momentum. That's what creates the foundation for whatever it is you're meant to serve others with. And at all times in your life, you've served as well as been served. So it's all perfect. It's just that we've gotten into this habit of creating labels and putting things in boxes and expecting that this is supposed to be this way because this is what has been dictated, and yeah, we just gotta go with the flow. Because life is too short. And that's the other thing about a Leo. It's all about play. Sometimes on the other end of the spectrum with Aquarian, it can be very focused and lose sight of the play. And so I know for me, my inner child, she's always wanting to play. There's no doubt. She knows there's serious times, but you can still throw play into it too. So we all have to seek out that balance. So that's what it really is about. Life is about finding the balance between what your soul needs and staying in alignment and integrity with a healthy boundary of what you need and what others also will receive from that. So, we need water. I use the filtered water as I'm going to the flowers now. Just sharing. When I pick up flowers, roses, I got these at Costco. They're like $18 for, is it 2 dozen? Anyway, tell me, can you smell that? Look at the beauty. Every petal, so unique. When I get these, there is no smell, but I use filtered water and I just lovingly prepare them and just put them in vases because it makes me happy. And I'll tell you, after I have placed them in their vases, there's the most beautiful smell ever. And one of the reasons I selected this grouping of flowers is because some of them have this really pretty pink. Let me know in the comments, what's your favorite flower? Roses are beautiful. I love also stargazer lilies. Love sunflowers because they're the happy flower, right? That's one of my faves for sure. So let's go for the water. I have to fill the pitcher. This is, you're getting me completely raw tonight because, oh, hello. This thing, I'm gonna have to write a review. I bought this on Amazon. I don't know why, I think this one's a little defunct because this little piece keeps flopping off because this thing is offset and it keeps catching and it doesn't push down like it should. So I'm going to have to write a review on Amazon because it should be much smoother for this and this shouldn't pop off. I also was excited to get, anybody else use these Swiffer dusters? Because I needed these to clean off the blinds. The blinds catch a lot of dust. Lilacs are also a favorite flower of mine too. I grew up in, like I said, in Hodgdon, is the countryside, and we had a lilac tree, bushes, and it's one of the things I definitely miss about living up in the Northeast because there's a lot of flowers and plants and apple trees. I'm an apple tree climber. I used to climb the apple trees all the time so that I could just get those fresh Macintoshes and Golden Delicious. Oh my gosh. I loved Macs, but Golden Delicious were something special. Then the Granny Smiths, and there's a lot of different varieties nowadays. I'd never even heard of some of these when I was growing up. But that's the beauty, isn't it? Nowadays we have so much accessibility to things we would never know if it wasn't for the transportation, the way that we're able to ship and send things across countries. Do you ever stop and think about that? How amazing and how much has been improved upon over time? In some ways not so great, but most of it is very improved.
Smells like a baboofa in here.
I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what that was about.
I got a stiff neck.
I just got a bad thought. I got a 30 thought just now.
Look how stiff my neck is, y'all. No, stiff neck. I have to turn my head every which way like this.
I'm not laughing at that.
Not wild. But Lana did give me a nice haircut. It does smell like a rotten egg in here.
Well, we just cooked eggs.
Oh yeah, that's
that would be. We just Honey Crisp are the best. Oh my gosh, I I love Honeycrisp apples, right, Morgan? I love those. Ooh, yummy, yummy. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm suspecting, but none of the eggs got cracked, so I don't know. No, I'm just saying. But yes, we're very blessed to have access to things we never had access to before. How about jackfruit? I had never heard of jackfruit growing up. You know, when I was younger, my mother would buy things like the pomegranates, bring them home. My sister loved them. I was half and half. I love the flavor. I prefer them fresh, obviously. But the little arils in them, the little seed that's inside, to me, I have to admit that whole texture crunch, that's not digestible. But I am one of those people who grew up thinking, well, if it's healthy for me, then I'll eat it. Like, I would convince myself that things tasted good because they were healthy. Great example, liver and onions. Ugh. Growing up, it was the most vile taste ever, in my opinion. Then as I got older and I started to learn it was healthy, you know, because when your parents serve you something at the table, it's kind of like, okay. And we used to hear that, there are starving kids in Africa, girls. And me and my sisters were intelligent enough to go, well, then why don't you send the leftovers to Africa? And yeah, I mean, the rationalization that parents will use a lot of times is not necessarily the healthiest, but, you know, because it is a form of manipulation. I'm just saying. If your child ain't eating something, you might want to try something that's a little bit more realistic. I don't know. Maybe the child's trying to teach you. I know my sister with my niece and nephew, she couldn't eat certain foods when she was pregnant with them. And that was kind of like basically giving her the key into what the child was going to be able to eat and not eat. Oh, honey.
Did all these come with it?
No, those are my extras, so that when I split them up.
Extra, read all about it. Remember that Pepsi commercial in the 80s? Pepsi Light? Extra, read all about it. Hi-ya!
Careful of the blood moon. It might get a little violent.
Today is Monday Blue Moon.
Where'd you get blue?
It's Blue Moon after the Red Wolf Moon.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I might not. I don't know if I heard that or if I just heard you say it.
I am full of rad information.
He is actually, isn't he?
Even with a stiff neck. Hey, have you all ever... Actually, do you mind if I ask? Have you all ever had a stiff neck? Like, I'm not kidding. When you wake up and you cannot move your neck, you have to go like this. Like that. Like, my neck is stiff. I think I'm 2 inches shorter. But, like... It really, really hurts, and she's put a whole bunch of CBD on there. What else you put on?
Magnesium.
Magnesium.
Right. Transdermal.
And I feel like it's just getting worse. But like, how long? If you've had a stiff neck, how long have you had a stiff neck? And how did you solve it?
I have a whole lot of. I talked about that in my morning rad reflection about body language.
Oh yeah.
And what I experienced.
Okay, I'm not here. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
It does smell like rotten eggs. They're my eggs. They're my eggs.
Yup.
Where's the almond butter? I'm sorry.
Right where you left it.
Oh. Yeah. Thank you. I'm out.
Peace. So we're gonna do a bunch of different things, but I felt like just rapping right now. See how y'all are handling this new moon, full moon, not new moon, full moon, new week. It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which I have to admit, I knew all the holidays when I was still in the Air Force and working government, contracting, and all that. These days, I'll be straight up, every day's the same to me. So it's not something that I even keep track of anymore. But I am aware there are holidays. Put rice in a white sock and heat it up, says Morgan. Now, you know what I have in the refrigerator, actually? I have an ice pack that's meant for the neck, and then you put just a towel around it. And I've used that, especially because what happens if you bring this, you put heat on it when it, you can do either or. But here's the thing, if you put cold on it, it allows the blood vessels to come to the surface to get the oxygen for the healing. So that's why they actually recommend cold showers in the morning, so that your body can create this, like, it can bring in that oxygen. It can heal you even better. when I do a lot of trainings, that's one of the first things I'll recommend is make sure you're taking cold showers and make sure you're doing Epsom salt baths at night. Now, when I went through my situation, like I was saying in my rad reflection, I really do wish I'd known about fasting because I was in such excruciating pain and I was so emaciated. My muscles in my arm and my, like all my left side was so atrophied. So atrophied to the point where I literally walked around like this and it was crunched up. And the other thing was is prior to that, a couple years prior, I had learned that I clench my jaw at night, and it had caused, what year is that? That was, I think, 2004. I was clenching my 2005, actually. Yeah, that sounds about right. I was clenching my jaw to the point where I literally was pinching off. See, what happens is if you clench, it tightens and it what's it called when your cervical spine, all the vertebrae are pinched even closer. They're compressed. So when you clench your jaw, you're creating this tension in the neck muscles that radiates down the shoulders into the shoulder blades and the arms, and to the point where it compresses each of the vertebrae in your cervical spine. Now I know this from my personal experience. I don't wish it on anyone, like I said. It truly is not fun, especially when you can't turn your head to the left. Can't sleep on your left side, and you're trying to drive a Mini Cooper on cobblestone roads in Naples, Italy for months on end, right? I do wear a mouth guard now, which cost me about $2,000 to have made. Didn't correct my problem, but unfortunately the military didn't want to acknowledge the taking my wisdom teeth out, which is one of the things I've been working on. Gotta love being a veteran. So, yeah, dental field for 19 years. Yeah, Morgan, wow, thank you for sharing that. A lot of people don't realize they even clench their teeth at night. If you just go and buy a simple mouth guard, the kind you use for sports, and you mold it for your teeth, even if you don't think you do, and you wear that overnight, and you can feel the difference in relief in the morning, it's unbelievable. That was the first thing I did before I got my
Yo, I gotta get a bite of that. Tell me what kind of almond butter is this, because this is the best we've had of all the kind. This is the best. Almond butter and dates, yo, or almond butter and a crispy apple. Check out that thumb action.
This is Tommy's favorite now, okay? This is Kavala.
Bomb. What?
I have different favorites. It's okay. We don't have to agree on everything. This is the beauty of relationship. I honor his beliefs and his likes and dislikes, and ditto. My favorite is when it's raw because I like the sweeter flavor. I have a couple different particular brands I like, and buying them in bulk is not exactly efficient, I found, because you got to stir it up. Even this one, you have to stir. The bigger the bucket, the more you got to stir it. The smaller the container, it's a little bit easier to manage to keep the oils from separating, because it's natural that it separates from the butter itself. But yeah, the ones that I like, there's one that's sprouted. I think it's Blue Mountain. That's a yummy one. Glazer Farms is here out of Florida, and it's out of the East Coast. I like theirs. I like to, yeah, we're gonna do this one a little longer. There's some other ones too. Artisana I used to think I liked, and I'm not as big of a fan like I used to be. But that's the beauty in trying all these different types of almond butters. The other one that we've tried was, I know what the brand is. Hold on. The other brand is Once Again that we've gotten in the big container like that.
That was dry.
No, that was the Artisana, I think. That was the other one we liked, and it was lightly roasted. The one that Tom currently is eating right now is medium roasted, and to me it tastes more like peanut butter. But the Once Again I really liked if I had to have like a non-raw butter, because it's a little bit sweeter and it doesn't feel as heavy. I don't know how to explain it. You just got to try your own. Figure it out. Aww, almond milk. You know the quick and dirty to make almond milk. You don't even need to go buy it. If you want it just quickly, all you need is a tablespoon of almond butter and about a cup 1.5 to 2 cups of water. Add some vanilla stevia. Add some cinnamon, nutmeg. You can use some dates for sweetening, even honey, whatever it is your preference is. Because the reality is it's fresh, and fresh is best. And so there you get it right on the fly, and when you want it, when you need it. As opposed to, if you have to buy it, it's got an expiration date. And my favorite, because it's all gone, we're out. But if you have to buy one, and you can find it on sale, I know I'm digging in my trash over here, my recycling trash. This is my favorite so far, milk. It's organic, there's sprouted almonds, there's only like 4 ingredients. It's vanilla flavor derived from vanilla beans, Himalayan salt, filtered water, and organic sprouted almonds. Right? This is my favorite. Yeah, Morgan, go for it. Thank you. And let us know in the group, because we really appreciate when we get to see your pictures. You go live, you send up some videos in there. Show us what you're doing at home. And especially if you get a tip from us, we want to know, because then we know we're reaching you and that it's serving. So fresh is best. Just like flowers. My 2 rose bushes have died, so I'm due for a new. I was looking at rose bushes when I was in Costco, but not yet. It's too soon. I'm not ready for more stuff to deal with. As it is right now, my fig tree has decided it is in hibernation. It kind of goes through these phases. I'm hoping it's just hibernation. It's done it before and it's come back each time, where all the leaves are gone, but it looks like one of them is coming back. So one of the sprigs on the ends of the branches. You gotta love on your plants. You gotta talk to your plants. I have to double check the papaya because it was so cold last night. There was frost in the car this morning. And for those of you in here in the Florida Sunshine State, ice is not nice. Just saying. Ooh, look at this one. Isn't that awesome sauce? I love flowers. Yeah, flowers make me happy. It doesn't take much to make you happy if you can just be grateful in the moment. So, we are going to bake up some small potatoes. I'm going to cube them up. I'm going to throw some garlic. Maybe, no, I think I might skip the onions in this one. And some rosemary. Basically some Italian seasoning. I love the way the Italians make their potatoes. The potatoes are a good source of vitamin B. So I'm not knocking the potatoes. When I was growing up, now I grew up in Maine, they pick potatoes. They let the kids out of school specifically for picking potatoes. 2, 4, 6. We're gonna go for 8 in this bunch. I have this thing with significance of numbers. Anybody else out there? These are to keep thriving through the winter. It depends, because then there's your perennials, your annuals. Yeah, it depends on where you live, right? So let's see, what do I have for flowers outside right now? The lantana is kind of hibernating. I added some juice to it. Let's say some bat guano. And then I have hibiscus flowers out front, seem to do really well. It's kind of more of it turns into a tree. What else have I got? Oh, I forgot what the name of that pretty pink climber is out there, but it's so pretty. Let's do this and yeah. This one goes in my, I think this was in the bedroom. I think I have another one back here too. So, oh, that's right. Let's see. I have something interesting to share. So I have a rat trap down there. I don't know if you can't quite see it right past all that. Let me see something. I'm going to grab one of these because I'm going to possibly do another vase or vase, which is basically, this is, and I'm not advocating animal cruelty or anything like that. I'm just saying there's sometimes you gotta do the things you don't want to do. And I'm going to tell you, I think this is the most humane way of getting rid of a rat in your house. The electric trap by Victor. Now, here's the situation. It was getting at Buddy's food. I wouldn't mind, but it's literally tearing holes in stuff. And it's actually attempted at scratching and chewing through the cabinetry. The nice cabinet that Tom just got, where I had to put the dog food, and he found by smell, because rats are really intelligent. So I had to go and get batteries because I need to replace the batteries. And I'm keeping it over here because that's the last place it clearly has been. Now, how many of you out there know the significance or the symbolism of the rat? Because today I was sharing with a girlfriend how I had to have a humbling blessing moment where I was in gratitude because I know the significance of the rat. So Ganesha is the remover of obstacles. Ganesha, the elephant, in Hindu, Indian culture, many people know that he was, the story of Ganesha was that Shiva was away, and
I'm listening to the story.
So his wife was home alone, Parvati, the mother, and she was lonely because Shiva was always gone for years at a time, leaving her alone at home to take care of herself. And so she prayed and had a baby, and the baby was Ganesha. But when Ganesha was protecting her while she was in the bath, Shiva came home not knowing who it was. And then he chopped his head off because Ganesha was protecting her. And Shiva chopped the head off, and as soon as he found out what had gone on and realized, he felt so bad, and they went to the local, I don't know, the gods or whoever was in the area, and they said, we'll take the first head that we see. Well, an elephant offered its head, an old wise elephant offered its head to have Ganesha have the head, and that's how they recuperated, and that's how Ganesha was born. And so Ganesha's transportation is the rat. He rides a rat. Now that sounds a little bit obnoxious and a little bit off, but it's the significance of the rat and how Ganesha has shown up in my life to remove many obstacles. And whenever I've had dreams, right before I went to India, when I was in my teacher training initially, back in 2013, I was dreaming a lot about Ganesha, about going to India. Banana peels too apparently are another significance, because I had dreams with lots of banana peels.
And you did go to India.
And I did. I spent 3 weeks in India.
Does this mean we don't zap the rat?
No, it doesn't.
We zap him?
We're zapping him. Hey, he's showing up for a reason, and I think sometimes the significance of recognizing the reason and the gratitude for knowing what that significance is and the symbolism, that I'm trusting, that I know something big is happening, that Ganesha has arrived to remove the obstacles. The rat has proven the symbology for me now, that, like sometimes we got to get that and own and be like, oh, thank you for showing me this. And now from that point on, whatever unfolds, maybe the rat will just disappear because I was just meant to notice it. Otherwise, I'm sorry to say, the rat will go. This was the second time we've had a rat, and they usually show up around this time because of the cold outside. So we have 5 in this other here. I think, notice how I can bounce around subjects, so I apologize, but sometimes I do that. So we have this beautiful, this is going to go out in our newly renovated area that we have all optimized so far. We have a really pretty cool shelving that our Rad Ninja acquired and created. So this is one that's going to go up on the shelf. We'll put this back here for the moment. Now I have 5 more left. This will go out in the living room as well. I like to have roses on my altar as well because it's kind of part of my ritual. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the pivot in the conversation, yes. You hear that knocking? That's the rat.
That was the rat.
That is the rat.
That's the rat. I heard him.
So he comes in the laundry room area. It's cray-cray.
He nibbles. He even nibbled out of our what little cabinet that I made.
He nibbled.
I'm gonna do a video about IKEA, a what IKEA hack, and he came and hacked the little corner of the thing, and he's eating all the wood around the house.
can you?
His name is Splinter.
This is the front of it.
Oh,
so
cool.
Just up in, you know exactly where you're going to put it because
These are
you're
pretty.
ninja.
Those smell good.
And see, that's the thing. When I put them in vases, they all of a sudden they start getting a really pretty smell where at the store...
It's called a vase, not a vase.
Yeah, I actually go vase as well, but sometimes I'll call it a vase.
Vase. How do you say vase in Italian? Le vaso.
Oh, you're so cute when you say
Get
that.
some more, Dito. Got more. Vase more.
Ah, non mi ricordo.
Non se ricorda da te, dove te fido co?
Ah, if anybody out there speaks Italian, remind me what they call the vase. I don't remember.
Quarmozza.
Ah, come si chiama? La bicchiere per il fiore. Fiore dentro una... I'm sure it's very simple and it probably starts with a V. Somebody can Google that for me too easily enough. So we've got that one's going to be for the others. If I need to switch things up, I will. So 5, 8 is one of my numbers. I also do, I don't talk about a lot of stuff I do, but I have a way to do people's numerology based on Yogi Bhajan's numerology. And when I had mine done, my gift is 11. So 11 is basically, it embodies all of the 10 bodies. And it's based on the last 2 numbers of your birth year. So I was born in 1974. And my gift, again, becomes 11. Which is interesting because both my mom and my dad, a 9 and a 10, and I'm an 11. And it's like really kind of cool. Il vaso, yes. Thank you very much, Anna. Il vaso. Not il naso. But it rhymes. Il ritmo. The rhythm. And the rhythm is gonna get ya. Yes, that is perfect. So then we put some vata, vasa, aqua. Who all had to go to work today? That's my curiosity because I had to go get that car looked at, and I was informed as soon as I arrived, do you have an appointment? Because we have like 80 appointments because people aren't working today because of the holiday. And I was like, oh, I forgot. I'm sure I heard about it. I saw some really rad posts about, you know, some of Martin Luther King's quotes and all that. Sometimes you have to be the one person who speaks up for many because others need a voice. And that's, you know, customer service, my mom always reminded me growing up, was for every one person that doesn't speak up, there's at least 10 people that don't. And so don't ever let anybody tell you to not speak your truth or your voice when it comes to any type of customer service. I mean, there's a kind way to do it, and that's where you should be, where your attention should be. But, you know, in this world, in this day and age, we're guilted into not being able to speak up. Like, you're supposed to feel embarrassed because you admitted that, you know, I'm not happy with the service. If you're unhappy with the service and you paid money for it, just speak up. You know, a lot of times you're going to find the company will make good on whatever it is that didn't work out for you. 9 times out of 10, I've made a phone call to whether it's a credit card company or a business, you know, and just a kind way of saying it. You know, I'm hoping you can help me with this because I am not as satisfied as I was hoping, or, you know. Now,
did you know CVS was closed because of Martin Luther King? Because they give out vaccinations, or was it Walgreens? They closed that because of Martin Luther King. It's a holiday, so like sometimes things are closed and sometimes aren't. So
right.
You got your vaccinations today.
Yeah, that's what I wasn't going for.
Yeah, but you talk about vaccinations. You don't even do that.
I know. I haven't done vaccinations since I was in the Air Force, when I was a good doobie and I did everything I was supposed to do according to.
They force that on.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, like who out there hasn't had something thrown down their throat? without any say. But see, I came from that generation, or at least what for me, I don't even want to say generation. My youth was, I wanted to fit in. To get my needs met, I wanted to relate with other people, and sometimes I was always looking for someone to relate to that could understand me, and maybe we could, I don't know, fix each other. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. But going along to get along isn't always serving, and yeah, I've had to learn over the years that not everything was that I grew up and was taught was the right or in alignment with me. But I have to admit, I was very blessed. My mom really was an amazingly intelligent woman, way ahead of her time, and so knowledgeable. She knew the direction the internet was going to possibly go. Oh my God, totally, Deborah. She knew the direction that the internet was going to take. She knew that it had the power to unite or divide or to control. And my father worked for IBM, and so I've always had a natural inclination to just picking something up and learning it. My dad working for IBM, I was able to have one of my first computers, and it was called an IBM Portable. Like, I think the technicians used it to log into bigger mainframes and things like that. I mean, we're talking like the floppy disks. And she saw things. I mean, she went through feminist movement and all that. She saw the importance of women supporting other women, because most of what's been going on has been about separating us and thinking we don't need to support one another. And you see it so often around you that because of insecurities, sometimes women will put other women down or shut other women down. And in reality, we all are looking for the same thing, and that's connection and love. So these other flowers are going to go on the altar, and the other vase is going to go in my bedroom. So I'll put these back here for the moment. We're going to prep the potatoes. I got a lot going on tonight, so if you got time and you like my recipes, stick around. I got lots in store, and I got lots to talk about too. So we're going to take these potatoes. I went to Costco. We're going to chop. We're going to cut up some garlic. We're going to do a little bit of a rosemary thing. And Tom's apple over here is going to go to Buddy. Because what I do, well, that's funny. It only has one seed in the whole thing. What happens is I split it in half. I take the seeds out because the seeds supposedly have some form of, like a little bit of arsenic. You don't want to be consuming it. It's not the worst thing. Right? And when women couldn't even vote, can you even imagine? Oh my gosh. As a woman, I can't. So, this will go over there because that's going to get in the way. We're going to pull this wonderful piece over, and we're going to start chopping up some garlic. Do you have any special requests for us? I know, it's been a while since I've been in the kitchen. Kind of nice. Nice to be back. I have fennel. Love my fennel. Thank you, Shayna. So we have sticky fork in the spoon. Now, we're going to preheat the oven. I'm going to go, let's do 395. That's what I'm feeling. I'm going to tell you right now, I grew up in a household where my dad always cooked. Mom was okay. Dad usually had the munchies. A lot of his cooking happened in the night. I laugh about that. It's kind of partially true, and at the same time, my dad really had a restaurant, so he was the chef of the family. And my sisters and I joked about meatloaf having to have ketchup because it was so dry. But that doesn't mean Mom wasn't able to cook something. She was really good with her eggplant parmesan, and we made sure to eat it, because who doesn't like eggplant? So I have the tray in the oven. The best way, my recommendation, Italians will tell you, you never use virgin olive oil or any olive oil because of the heating point in the cooking. You use it afterward. You drizzle it on the cooled temperature foods, because after a certain point, you are now changing the chemical composition of it. And so you want fresh. You want the best quality. You don't want to ruin it and make it rancid and carcinogenic. So if you're going to do cooking, because I'm pretty flexible with my eating, I do really want to try to get back to a little bit more raw and more of my intermittent fasting, which really, it helps support my system. I have more energy, more vibrancy. I sleep better at night when I eat by a certain time. Let me know if you do this at home. So we're going for the garlic. This is one big old yummy organic garlic. When can I come over to visit? Well, Robin, funny you ask. As soon as we got our love shack together, in the love shack, baby love shack. I love it when he what-was. So I keep all those plastic baggies because I have Buddy to walk, and there's always a poopy to clean up. Okay, so we're gonna use up some garlic. Tomorrow morning I'll be going to sadhana at Yoga Village. And
Tell them what sadhana is.
if you're unfamiliar with what sadhana is a devotional, and I'm still working on getting up early, let me tell you. And I'm on my moon cycle, so just on top of all this.
You gotta tell them what a moon cycle is too before you tell them what sadhana is.
I love him so much. This is how we wrap in the house. So a moon cycle, I just pull out my knives. I love ceramic knives. A moon cycle is a woman's menstruation. It actually sounds more elegant to say moon cycle to me. So with the woman's moon cycle, it's when we're most in our wisdom and our knowing. Our intuition is stronger and more on point. So ladies, never doubt what you're feeling. And especially with the dreams. I don't know about anybody else. I'm already very much a dreamer. Not flaky, airy-fairy dreamer either. I'm talking about I dream significant dreams, and they always have some sort of potent message for me. So last night, for example, I dreamed about the rat. I dreamed that I came into the kitchen, and I was over here, and the rat was over there, and it had the cutest little ears. And I looked at it like, oh, I stood there, and somehow the rat just kind of went. I was trying to keep it from leaving because it goes to the laundry room to get out, and the rat just went out underneath. It didn't attack me either because they say that rats will jump and hiss. So, here's the situation. Interesting that you say that, Shauna Lynn. So I haven't had an actual menstruation moon cycle that has been, I don't want to call it abnormal, but I really do believe energetically I've been going through something. I'm starting to discredit the whole labeling it as perimenopausal personally, because I still feel the cycle. And I haven't had a heavy flow. So this morning, and I already knew it was coming because I've been really tender. I don't know about anybody else, ladies. I have got the most sensitive nipples. And when it's that time, it hurts. Shower, movement, touch, totally. So I was definitely feeling it in the past 36 hours. So I knew it was coming. And this particular one is very significant as far as being aligned with the moon. So going to the moon, what were you having me explain? The
moon cycle and then your sadhana.
So sadhana is where we get up and we do a devotional practice in the Amrit hours, the Amrit Vela it's called, the hours when the veil is thin and you can receive the most insight and wisdom. So if you're somebody who keeps waking up at 4, 3, between the hours, let's say 3 and 7, 6:37 in the morning, that's your soul speaking to you.
Yeah.
And so you can get up, and that's if you meditate during those hours, that's when you'll receive the most insight. And meditation is really not about being still and quiet. It's really clearing out the garbage. All those crazy thoughts that if you can clear and cleanse, I call it mental floss for the like another form of hygiene, because again, you need to clear out.
Clear out that cray caca.
Yeah.
Okay, caca.
Yeah.
Sadhana. Tell them what you do. You do like
I'm coming over here to
you
cut
hit
chop.
the banjo too, right?
Nope, there's no gong, there's no nothing. We just chant. So the first part of it is we chant and recite the japji. Ooh, the lighting got funny.
Japji.
So the japji, you know what that noise is. Buddy's on top of his. The japji, which is a poem by Guru Nanak, which is absolutely beautiful, and it has a high vibration. Again, if you've ever tested or heard of kinesiology, you can test a lot of scriptures and writings and books that, despite whatever teachings, religions, the teachings, the writings are high and pure in vibration. Sometimes the people who are conveying them or interpreting them might not be so high. But again, just the recitation, because with chanting and high vibration, you don't have to believe in it. It literally changes what I found and what I've learned through Kundalini Yoga is it literally changes your vibration, your, what do you use? Parchment paper. It literally changes the cellular makeup of your body and your DNA. So it's good for you to chant something, even if you're unfamiliar with it, because it can up your vibes, as I'd like to say. I'm going to use parchment paper because that'll keep it crispy. I kind of do this with or without watching me live. This is how I roll in the kitchen. A ninja will come in and go, don't stay standing all day. Don't be in the kitchen standing up all this time. And I'm like, well, I'm good. I'm good. Especially when I'm getting things done, I'm happy. I really need to do the kombucha, which I meant to do this weekend. But what happened this weekend? I don't even remember. It was a busy weekend, that's all I'm saying. So, we're chopping this garlic up specifically. I'm still on sadhana, don't worry, I didn't lose my train of thought. So, after japji, we do a kriya, a meditation, chanting, breath work. There's an Aquarian age kriya that was initially being done every morning in our studio, but when the Aquarian age switched, we started doing, kind of opening it up to other kriyas. And so every person who leads sadhana changes it up to whatever they feel called or drawn to do. Now, if you ever go to a sadhana, whoever is leading it is doing it with you. They're not a teacher in that capacity. They're just guiding you as they go along with it. Because the whole purpose of sadhana is in community. It's coming together. And anytime you do yoga, anytime you join a community, you increase the vibration for others who are not there. Community intensifies the power because of the intention behind it. That devotional practice is amplified. So if you can find your way to a sadhana or to some community yoga or some form of devotional movement, body, mind, soul connection, you're part of that movement. You're part of that upping the whole humanity. That's why, the more people gather for prayer, for peaceful movements, we're not talking about, any form of gathering, whether it's in a peaceful or a wartime, it enhances that and ripples that out. So always consider when you're gathering with others, your intention behind that gathering, whether it's your personal intention or the collective intention, because that's really powerful. And I don't know that anybody really stops to think about that. But for example, I would like to think if you're gathering for sporting events, that's pretty impactful because you've got two teams against one another. So it's a division. And I wonder how that impacts us as a whole when people are in that space. These are just words coming out of my head as I'm thinking them, because this is kind of how my mind thinks and works. It was curiosity. And just like anything, you should approach anything in life like a curious-minded child, like the first time. And that's genuinely a curiosity that my mind just jumped into. How does sporting events impact the whole of our planet of humanity when you have two teams against each other and a whole crowd of their fans, whether you're home or in the actual stadiums? How does that impact the collective if we've got this, us versus them? Because that's kind of how politics is, that's kind of how any type of movement bringing people together, there's a division involved in that. So how does that impact us? I'm curious your thoughts. What do you think?
You gotta unlearn what you've learned.
Bravo, amore mio. You do have to unlearn what you've learned, and you have to rewrite your story, and you have to create a better dialogue within your mind, and also, again, like I said, question what you think you know, what you have always known, what somebody tells you. Do your own research. Don't take anybody's, like, you got to figure it out for yourself. I can give you all sorts of, like, what I think. That's not going to necessarily serve you. It might influence you, it may not. Hopefully it inspires you to do your own inner guidance system, like, hey, what's this feel like? And do I believe this? Am I in alignment? Are my thoughts and beliefs in alignment with my soul's intentions and what I came here to deliver on this planet? Resistance really is showing you, if you have any form of resistance or anger that arises, it's usually because you're not living in alignment with your soul's intention.
Especially hateful comments.
Well, you know what? That just shows that if they're using HATE in the comments, that they themselves have probably, unfortunately, HATE inner dialogue. That's
in their hearts.
I don't think hate resides in the heart. I really believe, this is my personal belief. So again, don't hold me to what I'm believing, just take it as it is. I do believe that beliefs come in the mind. That's not your heart. Your heart is pure. And when you are truly in your heart, there is no hate. But if you're truly in your head, that's HATE.
I got this.
That's the fear. What you got?
Oh. I thought there was something to take out of the stove here.
Oh, yo. Honey
yo.
boo. Honey boo. You know where that one goes?
Where?
Wherever you put it.
Okay.
Probably next to the stove, the TV. Ah, looky who's coming to visit.
Boom!
This will go in the bedroom now.
He protects us from all the HATE. If you have any HAT in the comment section, Iggy's our ride or die homie, and he just spreads the love.
Yeah, and you got to watch out for Joe Boo, because if he gets really upset, Joe Boo jumps in there on his surf. Whoo! We don't need no waves in the house. See where he resides? He resides in love all the time.
Boom! Look at Joe Boo. He still drinks rum and smokes an occasion a Cuban. That's why his nose is all messed up. He lives off Cubans, seawater, and
Yeah.
Captain Morgan rum.
That
Is it
really
Captain
makes him
Morgan?
salty.
He's a little salty.
He's very salty.
Yeah, salty.
Salty
Yeah.
dog. I don't know where he's been, but his hair is just... He's been jumping around here, say, lately. But no matter what, you can, if you got some HATE in you, you got to work on the inner anger. Because I know that's not personal. I don't take any of it personal. I just see it as inner healing that needs to happen. And I don't think there's one of us out there that hasn't dealt with a little HATE on the inside that came outside. So that's just pure humility and awareness that everybody needs some good loving. Everybody needs some loving and some hugging. What? I just love it. Okay. So there's two ways I can do the potatoes. I'm going to dice them up into manageable slices to eat. How about that? We're going to put them in like cubes. Just like I would if I was in Italy. Oh yeah, I'm so overdue for a trip. Tell you what, I got an invitation to go to Brazil. It's very tempting. They're not in, it's not looking time-wise as appealing as I'd like it to be. So the shaman I did my ayahuasca ceremonies with has a special upcoming. And so I'm like going, oh, I really want to go. But I also have to admit, my trepidation, y'all, I'm not a camper. I can do it, but I might not like it as much. That's my mind. And what we resist, we probably need to do. There's some poisonous, creatures in those places. But that's the funny part too. So when I was in my first yoga teacher training, which was down in Nicaragua, back in 2011, I was there for the entire month of January of 2011 was when I did it. Let me tell you what. There were scorpions, there were snakes. None of it affected me, never even saw it. So I need to remind myself, hello, sneak away, that truly I'm watched over. And I tend to have to remind myself that quite regularly because my life has been blessed. And I know I have a lot of, I've been told I have a grandfather that watches over me. Then I now have my mom and my Grammys. Now my grandfather is also my grampy. My Grampy Dolan off the P. I just love saying his name. It's so cool. Because I'm a New Englander, right? I'm from Boston. I don't have a strong accent. I'm probably not noticeable unless I'm around family more than anything. I'm trying to make space. Are you a potato lover out there? How many of y'all have picked potatoes in your lifetime? So that's a funny thing too, right? So going back to sadhana, because I did it again. So after we do the reciting of the japji, we do the kriya, meditation, breath work, and then we recite after a short little nap, not a nap, it's a sadhana, a shavasana, we lay down, and then we do the recitations of the mantras. Now the mantras are to set the day, the vibration, and mantras are a good way to intention because each mantra has a special intention behind it. Like the Mu mantra, which is the beginning of the japji as well, which is about leading you to your destiny, or Ardas Bai, Amardas Guru, Amardas Guru, Ardas Bai, Ramdas Guru, Ramdas Guru, Sachi Sahi, Ramdas Guru, Sachi Sahi. Things that you recite with a higher vibration, they affect your cells in your body. And each one of them is designed to set the day on top of everything. So if you wake up and you start your day, first off, you've already done something beautiful for yourself and those around you. And again, in a community, we're upping that vibe by coming in together with the same intention to improve upon ourselves. And just you working on you is helping others work on them, even if they don't even know it. So I like to think that for as much work as I do on myself, I'm doing it for my family, previous and future generations, in a way I may never see. And that's okay with me. I'm all right with that. Because I do it out of devotion and love. Sometimes I wake up and I don't want to do it. I tell you right now, I could be like, my bed's so beautiful, can I just spend the night in my bed? But when I get up and I do it, it changes everything. Even if I'm kind of delaying it, maybe finding distractions around the house to do something, it doesn't matter. As long as I do it. And this isn't about dogma in my case. I don't feel it's dogma to take care and clean out my monkey mind. I call that the sanity check. Because if I don't do it, I know how cray-cray I could have been. And I noticed even this summer, I've been doing this long enough that I was extremely grateful that I have had such a strong practice, and I know that. Because during the time when we had to be, in a state up with my mom and dealing with all of that, it allowed me to feel like I could contain and hold people in my family in a way that I could have never done. I probably would have lost it. I would have gone off on people. I mean, my patience level before I used to do all this yoga was not necessarily the best. And so I've had to be humble and learn and cultivate a true patience with myself. And one of the first ways that I learned about the importance and the impact of patience and patience starting with self was reading David R. Hawkins' The Power versus Force. And power versus force is really about recognizing you're the one with the internal power. The idea that there's anything external to you that has control over you is actually what we've been conditioned to believe. It's totally untrue. But we're all learning as we go. And again, relearning, unlearning. Oh, these are so pretty. I love just cutting things up. Yeah, here we go. And you all know, I know many of you probably already grew up with this, you can take potatoes, put them on your eyes, and get rid of those dark circles. I did that growing up. How about you? Do you have any tips put in the comments. Let me know what you have for special tips with potatoes. Now, I know that they make alcohol from potatoes. I know that potatoes can be mashed, baked, grilled. I mean, come on, give me your tips. I want to hear from you. Maybe there's something I've never done. Scrambled, how about hashed potatoes? We used to get, of course, French fries. That's a given. When I lived in Maine, we would go after going out to this place called JR's, right? JR's? I think it was called JR's. It was in Canada. We'd go across the border because it was only 18 to go to the bars. We'd go over there and then we'd come back. And of course I wasn't 18. I just had a fake ID. We'd go to the truck station, to the restaurant. I think that was JR's. I don't know. See, now, even my memory's just getting to a point where it's not important, so it just gets rid of old junk. I don't need to remember everything. And your memory is only as good as the last time you told it. So it changes from that moment. So we would go across the border, go to, do our drinking, dancing, what have you. I was always designated driver. And we'd go to the truck station, to the restaurant, and we'd get French fries and get gravy with those French fries. Like, some people do cheese, but this was this thing called gravy fries. And it's the funniest story because I remember this one guy came to visit one of our friends. He was originally from Australia. And an Australian person up in Holton, Maine, which is kind of like a very small town mentality. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it was humbling to live up there, let me tell you. Because I have kind of a big city mentality myself. So here's this Aussie. And he's like, let's go have some gravy fries. I like the gravy fries. Like, the way he said it was just so cool to hear it. I love accents. I've moved around so much. I really like to hear the song within someone's accent and where they're from. It's probably one of the reasons I love to travel so much is you get to experience so much and have so much gratitude for it. Take you out of your element, your comfort zones. And because I grew up and moved around so much as a kid, I really feel at home in my own discomfort. So as a woman and traveling the world and going places, I'm always about being safe first and foremost. My mom taught me that, but also because I'm not going to put myself in a jeopardized situation for any reason whatsoever, especially not to prove a point, for sure. And I'm pretty smart about that. Now, I have been in some very dangerous situations I wasn't exactly thrilled about. I remember years ago when my girlfriend and I would be in Naples, Italy, and there were a couple times, I was reflecting upon this past couple months ago, a couple times where somehow she decided we were going to go with these guys, and I did not feel comfortable. Fortunately, I was always protected somehow. I don't know how to explain it, but thankfully, there was always an angel taking care of me. The nights of going to clubs in Milan and Rome and Naples, around the Amalfi Coast. the clubs in the summertime, lots of fun. And I've always been a dancer, so I love to dance, if you couldn't tell. And so for me, those places were just amazing to just go and dance. I just like getting on the dance floor. I didn't need to meet somebody. Though the funny part is as we all know, you're out on the dance floor as a woman and a guy comes up to you and is like, hey, can I dance? He doesn't even ask you. He's just all up in you. And you're like, can you get off of me, please? Ladies, anybody? Anybody? Funny. Probably not so much for them, and if they even knew what they were doing. A lot of times people are just so drunk and out of their, as we say, out of their skull or out of the gourd. But I admit I had my moments, so. I was reflecting with a couple ladies after teaching yesterday about how we all had those times when we were younger and we did crazy things, and we were fortunate enough to where we got to a point in our lives, and now we look back and we're just grateful for the awareness and not being mesmerized to the point where we never left that stage. We do become wiser when we integrate those experiences and don't just take them for granted. Repeating the same lessons, not necessary. But sometimes that's what it is we do repeat lessons a few times, then we realize, oh, there's a pattern here. How can I change this?
We had goddesses this weekend.
Oh, goddesses. I had goddesses last week. I have to check. We might even have it this week. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think so, because last week my one girlfriend got sick, so we had goddesses and 3 of us got together. It was really nice. It was kind of nice having a smaller gathering, because a lot of times when you have a bigger gathering, you don't get like full time with each other. It can be, but at the same, it was a lot more intimate, and it was nice to have really deep conversations on relationship and the importance of it, because this life really is about relationship. And we can say we're happy alone, but as humans, we have a need to connect with one another. We have a need to belong, and whether it's tribal, whatever terminology you want to use, it's about really finding people that you resonate with and that you can work together to do the best we can for one another, to support one another, to increase quality of living, whatever that looks like. Oh, these are going to be so yummy. Yummy in my tummy. I know this is going to be so good. We'll add a little bit of sprinkling of some salt in this. I typically don't add salt, but in this case we'll do. I have found when I have too much salt, I get really what's the word? Like puffy. Natural salt, sodium is in things like celery. It's in actually anything you eat. Leafy greens. Anybody in the comments say anything about what they do with potatoes yet? Hash browns. Hash browns are good. Eyes. Get rid of the dark circles under your eyes. So here's a question. Are you a morning person or a night owl? I vacillate. It's difficult for me. I kind of go both ways. It's one of the reasons I have trouble sleeping and getting up at the same time. When the ninja and I was first rapping, I think we were both on both levels. We weren't sleeping a whole lot. I know I wasn't. I know he wasn't. Do any of you have any special goals this year? I know I've been feeling a rumble in the house. Not just the mouse. This is going to be a powerful year if you are willing to allow. I know I am. I am open to receive. So the enzymes in raw potatoes. Now, potatoes are not meant to be eaten raw. Apparently, there's certain chemicals that need to be, what's the word, broken up or changed, and so that's why potatoes should be cooked. But if you do eat them raw, I can't guarantee that it's the worst thing. I just wouldn't recommend it. I think it would give me a bellyache. But if they are raw, they're good for making, like I said, the compress for the eyes. And you could use them on your skin. There's some enzymes that you would put on topically and some things you want cooked to eat. But don't quote me on all that because I am certainly not an expert on everything. But I know what I would do. But I would research if I were you. I'm the type of person that sometimes when I get really excited about something, okay, I get excited about a lot of things. I want to research, and so I go down a rabbit hole. And a lot of things that I do now to this day, sometimes I forget why I do them. But typically, there was a reason, and I went down a rabbit hole if I'm still doing it. Just like this morning I was reminded when Tom was having trouble with his neck, MSM is really good for healing, and I had forgotten I had some, so I pulled it out. So hopefully that'll help. It's good for pulling out toxins. It's good for all sorts of healing in the body. And you want to mix with vitamin C specifically. So here's our potatoes. Potatoes are cut, chopped, and they're going to be really, really yummy. We're going to add some salt. And we're going to add some salt and some Italian seasoning. That's my favorite thing to do. To season it, baby. Italian season. I buy everything in bulk just because it's easier. Yeah. Jobu. After this, we're gonna make the what did I say? The cheese, the cheesy cheese. I should have been soaking the nuts, but I'm not, so it's okay. It may just take a little bit more time to break it down. Actually, what I'll do is I'll put the nuts in there and then we'll move on to something else until then. This is me in the kitchen on a normal night. Right, honey?
Yes.
I may be interrupting him, so I have to be careful. So then, and I personally like to use sea salt. You don't need a lot. That's enough. Just enough. And then we're going to put it in the oven. Yeah. This is the time of year when you do want cooked food. It's cold outside. You want something to warm your belly. And I'll tell you, I started craving these when I saw them in the bag. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I need those. I haven't had serious food cravings, y'all. There's a whole comfort thing going on. And isn't that the funny part? Is like I talk about, it's the discomfort that we may have. We reach for food to comfort us. Think about that. So instead of recognizing, oh, I'm uncomfortable with this over here, we immediately are reaching for a comfort food to comfort something we're not even acknowledging. We're like, I don't want to look over at that discomfort. We're ignoring it, suppressing it, avoiding it, right? Resisting it. I don't want to look over it. It's actually very childish too, in a way. If you can really tap into your inner child will tell you, I really want that food because it made me feel better back in that time when I was going through that situation. If you can remember and you can like sit with it. You reach for the comfort food to comfort that discomfort. But it takes some serious mindfulness and awareness to confront it and sit with it. Right? And the thing is, and here's the other thing, if you're doing that, also recognize that the same energy that created the discomfort is being fed by the comfort food, because afterward, how many of you don't feel comforted? So you're feeding discomfort with the same discomfort energy, and that's what addiction is, right? This is what I've learned. It's repeating the cycle of the emotions driving the need for this food, and the food affecting the mood because of the emotions that are going. And it's that crazy figure 8. I'm going over here because I want to fix this thing over here. And it's just recapitulating the cycle. This is what addiction is. So we're going to start the blending process. Love that this has a lid on it. This isn't a commercial blender. This is my original RawThentic. And the other one I had gotten because, well, I had two. Long story. You can smell the bananas in this. I had 2 pitchers. The other pitcher doesn't seem to work as well, and you have to be careful with these, the seals. The seal on the inside of these blades, if it goes through temperature extremes, it will disintegrate. And one of my blender's pitchers, I was blending up a watermelon, and it ended up with the actual washer broken up in the watermelon. The whole thing was a waste. It had to be thrown out because the disintegration of the seal, the rubber seal, ended up in my smoothie. Not cool. All right, so we have, number 1, we're gonna make a mix of macadamia nuts and cashews. Now, I'm not a huge fan of cashews, but for the purpose of making this cheese the way I want it to be, and I can do it 2 ways. So this is one of my favorite ferments because I love making cultured foods. I like to make it hard, and I have an example here. This is one I made a while back, and I use a few different things sometimes. I'm going to use sumac in this so that I remind myself. Sumac is amazing because it imparts a little bit of a lemon. It's kind of reddish. Isn't that cool? Sumac. Anybody out there use sumac before? So this was something I made. It's a little aged, but it has a really cool taste to it. I put it in parchment paper. And it changes color. I mean, there's nothing wrong. If it's not white, doesn't make it a bad thing. As long as it doesn't have some funky foamy colors and mold growing on it. And you can smell and tell the difference. And it smells so yummy. I've made some amazing cheeses over the years. Do I really write recipes down? Only because I put together meal plan with Tom and all the stuff that we've done. It's just a matter of, okay, I guess somebody wants it written down. I think the most fun is always putting together the little tags at the very end of, you know, like, eat this yummy goodness and see the juiciness fruition in your life or something. If you've read, any of you who have the meal plan, yeah, we're definitely going to do it this way. Any of you who have the meal plan, you see that there's some serious love in the verbiage. Okay, here's another thing about me. I'm the type of person who likes to take the entire thing off so that it's all nice and neat, so that I don't end up with any of this in my food if I am using this. So I will unravel it, like little edging, the edging part, I like to get off of there. If I can. If I can, I'm not going to worry about it, but I used to be worse. Make sure it was all off of there. Okey doke. Oh my gosh, it smells so good already. So what we're gonna do, let's see, this is an example. I don't need pieces of paper in the food. So we're gonna do half and half. I'm gonna put the max first. I'm gonna do 2 cups of both. Yes. I knew that was coming.
Oh, those.
These are super salty.
They're really good. They remind me of McDonald's cheeseburgers for some reason.
That's a comfort food. So right now we have 32 ounces of nuts. The reason I personally prefer raw nuts. These are dry roasted and with a lot of sea salt. The reason I bought these was because the salt is going to contribute to the fermentation, and it'll be fine. It'll be delicious. And I'm going to put more because the whole reason I got the max is for the cheese. And I'm going to make more cheese later. So, we'll see. The cashews are not really my favorite nut. It just seems to make it creamier. So, you know, you do what you want with what you got. I've made cheese with Brazil nuts. I've made cheese with walnuts and pecans and chestnuts, which are amazing. I really like chestnuts, but you got to make sure you get the right kind. The best was when I was in Italy. I could get them in a seal wrap. They were already taken out of the shell. And it was French company or something that put them together. And OMG, that was like my all-time favorite. So you really need enough water to cover the nuts, because it's going to be a lot. Because these are hard nuts, but and if we need to add more nuts because I put too much water, it's okay. But typically I like to cover all the nuts. I'm just going to start putting in the ingredients that I like to use. I'm going to use 1, 2, maybe tablespoons. We use chickpea miso. Chickpea miso is amazing. Love chickpea miso. This is my favorite brand to use if you are out there. This is, a lot of times I've found it on sale via a girlfriend who reminded me to look there. She said, go to Whole Foods. Sometimes I get it on sale for like $6, $7. Other places I've seen it for as much as like $12. How many of you are looking to make major food changes as part of your resolutions? Have any of you made any of those commitments for yourself this year? Let us know in the comments. I know that can be one of the most difficult things to do, but often what happens, everybody who does do it says, okay, when the holidays are over and I've eaten all the holiday food, when you feel like gorged from all those parties and celebrations, it's like, that's when I'll let go and I'll get on track again. You know, I used to be like that too, and I know that wasn't an easy, because you can beat yourself up if you're not committed to it and you fall off. It doesn't matter. Trust yourself and honor yourself. If you fall off the wagon, be kind to your mind. Don't beat yourself up. You don't need to be the hypercritical person inside of you. I think we've all been there. This has got to be the year that you are kind to you, so that others can also show up as kind to you. So no matter what you're going through, day by day, step by step, especially in our Rock and Rad Star family, we're all about supporting one another. Nobody's going to turn around and shame you, blame you, or guilt you into feeling bad. Nobody needs that. This is about you just doing the best you can do with you. All right. Sumac. Sumac is fun. So we've got 2 tablespoons of the chickpea miso. I'm going to use, let's see, this is about a tablespoon-ish of the sumac. I'm trying to think if I need anything else in this. This is really simple because I play with the flavor as I go. And then, after the sumac, I'm going to use some of this beautiful cheese as a starter. So we're going to use a little crunchy. That's a good amount. Believe it or not, it might not look like much for that amount, but starters, you don't need a lot. I'm going to put that away. I was using another container to hold it in. And this will sit here for a moment while I'm going to chop some eggplant. This is one of my favorite eggplants. I think it's either Chinese or Thai, I'm not even sure. Put the lid on that. I'll remember if there's anything else that needs to go in there. I think we're good. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Sumac has like this lemony flavor to it. It's very unique. It's really yummy. And depending on where you buy it, I bought that off of Amazon. The ones that you can buy that are in like the Middle Eastern markets or Asian markets is a lot of times they have a lot of salt in them. And it's flavorful, it's delicious. But when you get it without the salt, it also has its own salt in it. At least that's what it feels like when I taste it. So this is the eggplant I have. Got any eggplant aficionados in the house? Alrighty, okay. I think we'll do just one, because what I wanted to do is this and fennel in the griddle. In the griddle. Listen to me, in the griddle. Does anybody know what a griddle is? Do you know what a griddle is, honey?
A what?
A griddle.
A griddle, yeah. For a grill, or like a griddle puts marks in any kind of thing that you're heating up.
Yeah.
Griddle.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. I hadn't said that word in a long time. It just kind of popped out of my mouth. Old memories popping into the house. Just like that show, Kiss My Grits. Anybody remember that? What's that from? All right, this one, you can tell I used it for. It's got some eggplant marking, because eggplant changes color. So what I like to do is just with these particular ones, I'm going to go straight down the center. And then flatten those pieces down. And then we're going to go straight down. Hey, hey.
Hey.
Oh, baby, what you got going on?
I'm making a TikTok video. Ooh, is this eggplant? Thanks for playing.
He's really good at finding fun stuff to play with. Doo-doo. So these are, there's no, like just cubing these up. I'm going to put these, like I said, on the stove. I'm going to put a pot. I got this pot at Aldi's because it seems like if you get a lot of nonstick, I'm not trusting of nonstick and all the, I don't know, whatever that Calphalon or all this stuff. This is ceramic. You cannot use metal on here. You got to be really careful because it will flake off. You don't want that in your food. But this doesn't stick. This is the best thing ever. And I just use a little bit of water. So I put it on this burner. I'm going to put it on 6. I'll go with the number 6. 6 is a good number. Yeah, this is good over here. And what I'm going to do is just cut up the fennel with this. And fennel and eggplant sounds really, really yummy right now. And we also have some leftover quinoa from the other night. So I made up some mushrooms. I do know how to chop properly, just this knife is definitely not a chef's knife. I think Mr. Thomas said he'd be my sous chef sometime.
What'd you need?
Oh, you're good now, but one of these days we're just gonna have you sous. Sous chef, Mister. He's really good. Alrighty, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna start out because the eggplant takes a little bit more time to cook. I just put enough water on the bottom. And just move that around. And I could throw in some garlic, but I don't think I want garlic with the fennel. I could. So fennel is like, how many of you out there like fennel? Some people don't because they don't like that taste of the anisette. But fennel is extremely beneficial. It's kind of on the same level, same family as the celery. I have always loved fennel, but for some reason here in the U.S., it's either really expensive and then you can't find decent ones. I want to start growing it, actually. That's on my list of things to grow. I love the fact that it gives you good breath. You can eat it raw. You can eat it cooked. I got spoiled in Italy because celery is our turn. Like we think of celery, and in Italy, it's all about the fennel. And roasted fennel, oh my gosh, so good, so good. So let's cut this up, clean it up. I throw the fennel fronds in as well. Looky, looky, all that pretty green, huh? There's a couple that need to be clipped off, but la 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 la. So what you can do is wait to the end and put the fronds at the very end of your cooking so that they're not like overcooked. There's a couple black. I'm really picky when I prepare the food, so the Ninja knows he always gets the best. At least I like to think he does. He does, actually. He's very good about letting me know. I don't really have much to lick off these forks, these knives tonight. Okay, now we have a little bit there. This is trash. So I have my compost over here. Some really good tips on food for the week. It's always good to, I like to share that whatever you prepare one day, you can somehow integrate into the next day. So if you cook enough of the potatoes, you've got something you can have the following day. Or enough of the eggplant and the fennel, same thing. Oop, we got bouncing fennel. So this weekend, I have teacher training weekend, and our teachers are already teaching this weekend. I'm excited for them. It's like, in a way, a lot of people, you get fearful of that first time you're speaking in front of someone or guiding someone. Let's check the potatoes. I'm getting a smell right now. Ooh, it looks so yummy. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Look at that. It is already turning. All right, so I'm going to use the spoon and mix it around. Oops.
What's that paper?
The parchment paper?
Yeah, it's for stickiness, right?
Yeah, and it's to keep the crispiness too. Oh my gosh, it smells so amazing. That garlic, I bet you it smells good out there too. I know you need smell-o-vision on these. Hey, can you imagine? If you can think it, you can achieve it. Eventually, one day, they probably will. Not sure how, but anything is possible. Alright, so now I'll push that back in. Close that up. Smells so good. Now, this. Oh! And the fennels that go in there too. Chopping madness tonight. Chopping. So what else about this full moon and eclipse? So eclipses bring light to the shadows of whatever's been lurking in the darkness. Have any of you out there had anything come up that was like catch you off guard, surprised you, changed your life? Have you had any major life revelations as a result? And pay attention over the next couple of days, because it's never just one day. In fact, I understand it's going to be for several months, actually. That this is going to be a very powerful year. And I really do believe that. If you're open to receiving, you can have all the blessings that you desire. Just be able to be open to however that shows up, and not, I know in my case, it's always about, it doesn't have to appear. I make a prayer when I do my practice in the morning. Show me what you've got. I pray to like all of creation, to the universe, to my highest divine sacred self. Show me what you've got that's bigger, better, and more amazing than I could ever want, wish, or desire, so that it covers all the bases, that I'm not fixated on how it's supposed to look or how it's supposed to arrive to me. Then I'm going to be delighted because I've opened myself up to whatever that may look like, or taste, touch, or feel. So I'm cutting off the edges that are kind of funky or seem like they wouldn't necessarily cook up as flavorful. Sometimes they come out a little dry in their spaces. I can already hear there's a little sizzle going on with that eggplant. Does anybody out there watch Outlander? Did y'all watch it last night? Because if you watch Outlander, I want to know. You got to tell me in the comments.
What was the cliffhanger this time?
I don't want to give it away if you haven't seen it. Oh no, you didn't hurt yourself. No, talk to me. Tell me how you hurt yourself in yoga. It's good like this.
Who hurt themselves?
Nicole. Talk to me, honey. What happened? I have actually hurt myself in yoga before. That was before. And I'm a person who's taught physical fitness for years. And I know partially, my ego sometimes used to go, I need to be like that. I need to do the perfect posture. I have messed up my neck in yoga. I have messed up my hip, my back, my shoulders. But with learning my body and, ooh, hello, don't look up when you're cutting or slicing. I'm just saying. It was just a fingernail that time. That's even careful. It really is about being mindful in your body. Ooh, honey. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, when stuff pops, ain't good. Ain't good. I feel ya. And did that happen today? Or when did that happen? And were you pushing yourself? One of my key check-ins for me is to ask myself, where was my mind at the moment that the injury occurred? Because often a huge wake-up for me was going, oh my gosh, my mind was in a negative space when the injury occurred. So back in Thursday, what was going through your mind at the time? Are you aware? Do you know what it was? That could be a big insight into possibly the injury itself. And what area of your back popped? Because I know that certain areas will also indicate the different energies, blockages, chakras, can give you a little insight as well. Try not to put the fronds in there just yet. I'm going to put the fronds at the end. I'm going to lower this to 4. This stays pretty hot. I almost want to put a little bit of onion and garlic in there, but we'll see. Onion and garlic don't need to be cooked too long, so it's better if you use the bigger one. Go down the center. Your inner thigh near your butt. Okay. Pulled the groin area. Let's see. So psoas, right in this inner hip area, like right in the crease, and then it goes up and around. Is that the area you're talking about? Or are we talking about back up where it attaches to the SI? Huge, like, oof, I feel you, babe. Not fun stuff. I have a guy that I used to have do my Thai massage, and when he would get into the psoas, let me tell you, first off, it would instantly, like within a day or two, kick me into my moon cycle. That's how powerful that area is. And it was painful when that gets massaged, but it's so releasing because that's where we hold a lot of our emotions, is in the inner hip creases. And ooh, let me get rid of this and put this in there. So even if you can't remember, you can even sit in a meditation and ask yourself, your higher self, whatever it is that you're meant to glean from that injury. Because really the wisdom, the knowing, the answers are all within you. You just got to trust yourself. Kind of like with chopping. Trust yourself to know not to put your fingers in the way of the knife. And the mind can be just like that, the cutting knife. You gotta pay attention. All right, so I've been using a rubber spatula. It's not rubber, but silicone spatula. This clearly needs a little bit more water. Oopsie, that splash. Splashing, splish, splashing away. It's all good. It's all perfect. All right, this is so pretty. The purple and the green from the fennel. Oh, so pretty. I love colors with cooking and preparing. They're so beautiful. Onion. We definitely need an onion. Oh my gosh, these do smell really good. I didn't realize that's a good smell until I started smelling them. Now, herbes de Provence is really nice. It's a great blend of herbs and spices. It's got savory, thyme, rosemary, basil, tarragon, and lavender flowers. This is really nice for something that's a little bit more floral. These vegetables, the fennel and the eggplant, it's a nice mix. I am going to put some of the onion in there because I realize that they're very complementary to each other. Yay! Okay, so onion. I was going for that small one because I want a small red onion. I tend to use a lot of red onion when I do use onion. Now somebody posted in our group mentioning the onions and garlic and the medicinal qualities. And I've had this conversation a few times when I was in winter solstice this year. I was walking and I just got to talking with a woman and we were talking about how the solstice diet didn't agree with us and how different cultures will say that onions and garlic, you know, the Holy Trinity, these medicinal foods, they're really meant for just medicinal purposes and not to be eaten all the time. And I really think it really boils down to you just listening to your body's wisdom of whether or not your body needs it. And she mentioned, and I've heard it often and I've read about it, that it supposedly blocks the pineal gland and your intuition. Now, I can't say that I've experienced that full on. I feel like I still am very much intuitive even with eating it. But I do believe there is some possible wisdom in knowing and trying going without. There's certain things, if I leave them out of my diet, I notice my clarity is more. Like I have more clarity. And I don't feel as brain fog. Now with onions, when I have too many onions, my mouth goes raw. It bothers back of my throat. I sometimes will get the ulcers. Doesn't happen very often because I don't do it as often anymore. But I love red onions. There's like that sweet. And there is something to be said. I mean, technically, your body's telling you when you start tearing, maybe you shouldn't be consuming that if it brings you to tears. But we are humans, and again, personal wisdom and your experience. You listen to the body and the language that it's speaking to you. There's a sign in there. It's guiding you no matter what. It's whether or not you're listening and tuning into it. Wisdom is the integration of not just the information, but it's the awareness of how that impacts you through your personal experience. Putting into motion all that you know, think you know. All right, let's keep that other half. I don't know if I need that much onion. Oh my gosh, so yummy. What are y'all eating for dinner tonight? Are you hungry, honey? Or are you pretty much full from everything else? Okay, scoop it around. Get that onion in there.
Yummy.
Here's my Mista.
Smells so good in here.
I know, it's sad that
Man.
they don't have the smell-o-vision, but
Seriously, it smells like a pizzeria, smells like a sub shop, smells like a bakery, smells like, I mean, I smell that fennel, smell the onion.
Smell, sniffy, sniffy.
Mmm, delicious.
I'm going to put this on top. Well, what I'm going to do is use the rest of that onion with the potatoes.
Are you going to wrap until you're done, or?
It depends. I could. You know me,
You're not running out of wind, are you?
Never. I just have siding in the morning. I'll be fine. I have to remind myself I'll be leading siding next month.
Are we going to be enjoying this delicious food tonight? Or is this something that we're cooking
No, I'm hungry.
tomorrow? Oh, is this for tonight?
Some of it's for tonight, yeah, 'cause I'm so hungry. I gotta get something in my tummy.
Thank you so much for spreading the love to everyone and to me.
Mm-hmm.
This takes what she does, y'all, is not easy. You know what I'm saying? To spread the love and to prep all this food and to spread the love to you all. Open up her heart, open up her mind, open up her kitchen, open up her life.
You make me bring it
And show all of her flavors. It's very, very difficult to do. She is quite the ninja.
You're so sweet, honey.
I'm gonna go drop a deuce.
That ain't easy either.
For me, I've never had a problem dropping a deuce.
We're gonna have a conversation about that man pond. I don't know that somebody can say they might not have trouble, but there's some reason there's a man pond going on there. I've had my own little issues with a bleeding butt, and it's not fun. Okay, here we go. This looks so amazing, y'all. Smells even more. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, how many of you out there have had Italian, and you gotta be careful, don't be touching hot stuff with bare hands. I've been there, done that, burned myself enough times. Have had Italian roasted potatoes like this. And then what you can do, if you so choose, I personally don't need it, but you can use a little drizzle when it's cooled down of some olive oil to bring out a little extra flavor. But I've tried to cut back on oils, but that's for me. I find oils kind of give me a film across my eyes, and it really was brought to my awareness because I was still kind of dealing with the goopy with the eyes. Just like I love chocolate, but a couple things happen if I have too much chocolate over a period of time, and y'all can do your own, self-assessment through your experience, and I'd be curious to hear. Too much chocolate will cause like a scratch in the back of my throat, dark circles under my eyes. I've had mouth ulcers as well as a result. But that's why I think it's important that we always pay attention to whatever's going on in our bodies, and I really do believe in the feeling it to heal it. If you can tap into the wisdom, you've got all that you need to know. And then you can learn what works and what doesn't, because I'm still learning. I'm always learning. I don't have the answers for all of my ailments. I've gradually just been healing through my journey, and I really encourage any one of you to just tap into whatever's coming up and just allow it to be your guide, it's your teacher, your body, right? So pain is our biggest teacher, and why is that? Because it shows us contrast. Pain is like the way we learn what feels good. So we're not meant to live in it. We're supposed to just learn from it. And I think that is the beauty in recognizing the blessing, even in those areas of discomfort and those feelings as we navigate our way through. So this is going to get the cover. And then we're going to go back and make because see, this is how I try to move it. I try to get everything in its space. Let me see how this tastes. Yum. So we have a little cozy for the spoon over there. Care of one of our rock and rad stars. We're going to do the cheese now. So I like to lay everything out in a way that makes it most efficient. Cut up what you need, put the longest cooking in the oven or the stove, do the blending. You know, if you soak your nuts, you got that ready for when you press the button. So here we go. Now, this will go on top of the lid, and it keeps the lid more secure so that when I close it, it keeps it pressed down. So you can see it. Sorry for the noise, y'all. Cover your ears. I'm one of those who checks the numbers on everything. So right now it's 8:31. All three of those numbers are significant in my life. I'm born on the 1st of August, and 3 is one of my it's the trilogy. 3 is a powerful number, and 8 1s and 3s are huge in my life, as well as 5 for transformation. So I like to bless everything that I prepare, so I always have this going in my intuition, awareness, and intention. It's just the essence of my big heart as a lioness Leo, is that everything that I do intention it to be purely from my heart. That I really truly pour so much love into everything that I do, whether it's this, whether it's speaking to you, whether it's showing up in Rad Reflections or being silly in a video or just kicking butt in videos, right? That this is for me, that it's my joy to just spread and open my heart as wide as possible. And one of the biggest blessings that I've had is no matter how much I may have been hurt in my life, no matter how challenging my lessons, it hasn't jaded me to not being open to being lovable or being loved or loving. I've just learned through my journey that the more I've felt pain, the more I need to open to love. That pain has been my biggest teacher in the sense that the love that I pour forth comes from the space that held on to a lot of pain. So the love that is coming from me is motivated to know from the knowing that none of us deserves nor wants or should ever feel they need to stay in a place of pain. It's about embracing and just being of love. Yeah, there's gonna be some more. I know there's some serious loving going on in there. And so because nuts that are hard need a little bit more time to move and shake in here, and it feels like it might need a little bit more water. But just smell-wise, it's amazing. Oh my God. And cheesy cheeseburger in there. Yeah.
I want to taste.
It is so not ready, but it...
I smell hints of pepper.
He knows. Wait.
That is so good.
You're already standing up better.
Well, I'm in pain, but
I didn't say you
I'm
were.
on camera, I'm acting.
I love you so much.
See you later, alligator.
After a while, crocodile. Nicole's a Leo too. Big hearts, baby. Big hearts. And yeah, some of us have been hurt to the point where I will admit my old way of being was that if you were disloyal or did something to wrong me, it was very hard. And I'm not saying I'm not still in some ways this way, but it's hard to regain my respect. And so it's been humbling to witness other people who can let things go and step back and go, you know, I was wrong, or I, in my past, and still a little bit, have a hard time letting go of things and letting down my guard. So this is why, for me, it's been about opening even more, expressing my heart and being vulnerable and courageous enough to let others see me. Because in the end, I want love, so why would I reject it? Why would I put up a wall to protect myself when all it's doing is keeping me stuck. So many lessons in life. It's kind of how I feel. Sleepy eyes. I know I won't be eating much of all this, but boy, is it going to taste good when I eat it. And I am all about the avocado. So I'm an avocado a day, keeps the doctor away. I'm about to do some. You're going to laugh at me. This one's just for Tom. Maybe not. Anyway, so I've got avocado. Huh? Not yet. We're not yet there. My goodness, that smells so good. I'm turning off the oven. I think it's gotten enough. I should move this around a little bit more. No, I probably keep that on just at least 10-15 more minutes. Just to make sure this gets cooked thoroughly and the onions aren't quite yet ready. So I started to turn it off. I'm going to turn it back on. But we're going to pull out a little bit just because I want to see how cooked they are. So I had that at, that's fine, 390. We need a little bit more water in that. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Have you ever been hurt and can you relate to what I just shared about putting up a guard, thinking that that's going to protect you? Very tasty. Almost done too. All right. Now, the one thing about the RawThentic that and it's probably the same with the Vitamix, is, we dribbled. It's licking time. I like to stir it up because sometimes what happens, the thicker it is, an air pocket gets in there. I saw some hearts in there, showing some love. Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. It's really easy to use the past to shut us down, but the reality is our past does not dictate our future. And if we get stuck in the past, we will create again and again and again the past. So as they say, the poison that you drink, expecting the other to die. Oh my gosh, that is really, really good. That is super yum. And sometimes what I do is I'll also add some Italian herbs to the cheese. Hello. I don't want to miss a beat. That's so yummy. All right, let's try getting this smoother. I really like my cheesy cheese to be really smooth. All right, here we go. That was going. So an air pocket probably just created itself in there. There's some serious loving in this one. Oh yeah, it's getting smoother. And I love when it makes that little swirl in the middle, because it means it's properly doing that, right? So one of the biggest gifts and blessings of having my heart broken or being let down or even just anything from my past is learning to trust myself more. Trust has been my key, and it's not because I didn't trust others. It was because I didn't trust myself to trust and know how others were showing up and to be aware of their truth, of the truth of knowing. Let's say, for example, you get a gut feeling about somebody, or somebody's already exhibited to you in the past a certain behavior. You have to learn to trust yourself before you can trust anybody else. And then if you trust yourself, you'll know not to trust someone else when you're not meant to, instead of going through that lesson over and over again. definitely making a mess in here. What I typically try to do is wipe it out, because the nice thing about these protective lids, not only does it reduce the amount of noise, which is much better, it also keeps all that mess that splatters outside of the out of it. And I can wipe that off easier when it's fresh than later when it's coated on there. And I do this anyway because it just makes me feel like I have everything in its order and I don't have to come back and fix or clean anything later. It's one of my goals, is always to clean up as I go. Makes my life a lot easier. So let's see how smooth we got it now. Is the rat in here? You never know. Yep. Air pocket. It still needs a little bit more smoothing. Boy, is it yummy. And you can add nutritional yeast or not. You don't even need nutritional yeast in this. Especially this flavor. That's the one thing I didn't add. Which is interesting because I normally do. That is so delish. I've been needing cheese because we haven't had any cheese. And I prefer to make my own than to buy it. It tastes better, just saying. Kind of needs a little bit more water, but I'm not going to put any more water. So, let's go. Now, another thing you can do to get the air pocket out is just to shake it down. You just shake it down, baby. Shake it down. What do we got going? Oh. Lots to catch up on. Okay, let's make sure. I'm hoping this is the last. This is because I'm making such a large batch. Now, typically, here comes an air pocket. I can feel it. There, whoops, it's spitting out. To get the bigger, I think it's called the wild side, which is 54 ounces, is more effective in making bigger batches, because technically this is at least a cup and a half more than it should be. All right, so I kind of neglected over here. We're going to reduce this off. This, I believe, is pretty much just needing to steam up. Smells so good. Very simple. You don't need a lot of ingredients to make a good base or delicious bite to eat. Right, Ninja? A little bit of quinoa and some veggies and you're all set to go. Let me take a little bit. Oops. Careful your fingers. Don't burn yourself. Don't cut yourself. That's really, really yummy. So, for smooth texture on this, it's much better. It could still be a little creamier. I might put just a little bit more water in that. You know, I'm going to show you a trick that I do. First off, I'm going to stop and think where I have coffee filters and little colanders that are berry colanders, and that's how I make my cheeses that are hardened, like the one that you just saw. So, for example, I thought I had a berry colander in that one. It's not in there. I have to go back through my videos and figure out where I put stuff. Is it in here? Alright, there's that. Well, I found one item. So here's my filters. I think the berry colander is over here. Unless I put it in here. Nope. And yes, I go through these moments of, where did I put that? Even though I have everything organized. There they are. So, I need a step stool, but I'm going to get creative. When we were kids, we just climbed up the shelving. Anybody else? So, that's what I'm doing. I'm a climber. Don't worry. No, nobody's gonna be harmed. So I only need one technically. So we're gonna take the white one. That's creative. Now, just this. I have another bowl. Because what happens whenever you make a cheese, I don't care if it's dairy or nut or what have you, it needs somewhere to drain off into because there will be the remnants of a form of whey. So because I'm going to thin it out a little bit more, I'm going to use this to make a hardened cheese, just as it is. Oh, hello. You need to go back over there. This is my cheese basket bin. It's also sometimes where I'll put asparagus or greens. These kind of bins are really helpful for organizing your kitchen if you are prepping for a week, and you can put your greens in them and chop up veggies, kind of like when you go to a buffet, but just your own form of separating all your various veggies for making salads or whatever. Okay. So we're going to do this. I use two. One is on the inside to pour the cheese into, and then the other one I put on top. And I'll put a plate possibly. We'll see how this goes. So this is really, really thick. Okay, that's going to go in there. And here's how we're going to do this. And the ninja hasn't seen me do this. I've done this without anybody around normally. It's kind of a secret recipe. You just pour that on in there, you see? And kind of spread it all. I go about, that's a good amount. The rest is going to be, there we go. I think that's plenty. I'm whipping it. Careful you step through the spot on the floor. Careful your neck, honey. 5-second rule. Why do you put your finger on there? It's the same as that, sir.
That is so good.
In his belly. I know, right?
You want a huggy?
Yes, please.
It's really warm too and smooth. It's silky. The texture is just I am broken right now.
Yeah, I know you can't.
They're like,
Here,
pick
stand
you
up.
I get my neck.
Just stand up properly. I will squeeze you.
You don't tell me.
Oh, there we go. And that lower back's gonna release.
Wow.
You're so awesome.
I got a
awesome
crooked
sauce.
neck.
But I love you and your crooked neck, sir. He's like, dude, he's stirring the pot. He's stirring me up. He says to me this morning, don't make me laugh. I can't help it but make you laugh. Everything that comes out of my mouth is just, I don't know, silly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's really, really good. What were you saying that you were doing that you haven't showed me before?
That.
Where did you climb up at?
There.
You spider monkey? Oh, this so it doesn't
Because
spill?
what's going to happen is all of this is going to drain through the filter.
Oh, you have a coffee filter in there.
Yeah. So this one goes on top.
It's like cheesecloth, but thicker.
It's easier because cheesecloth becomes too messy.
Yeah.
With this, it comes out literally like it doesn't stick. When it's gotten enough, what I do is I fit that in there.
You gotta give them some. They can't see you. You gotta give
They
them
did.
some
I
more
actually
action.
poured it in.
Oh, I'm out of here. I love you. Honey.
You're so awesome.
I did the dishes.
That's usually my job. To lick it. Yep. It's approvable. So. See, no salt needed. Now, if you really wanted, and if I don't think. See, the thing is, you don't need nutritional yeast, especially when you use the chickpea miso, because it gives you kind of that same cheesy flavor. You know, there's no nutritional yeast in that, right, hon?
Really?
It feels like it, huh?
Yeah, that's so good.
Let us know in the comments. Do you have any special cheese recipes that you yourself make? Are you a cheesy type connoisseur? Let me tell you, I used to be huge on cheese. I loved having all the different flavors of cheeses. I mean, I did live in Italy. Mozzarella di bufala. What's the other one that was really interesting? It was this burrata. So burro is butter. Burrata is this cheese that comes in like a sack. And when you cut it, the inside is creamy and it's like butter. The flavor of it, it literally is like butter. And if you've ever had a pizza, and a true Neapolitan pizza, with the way that the mozzarella di bufala, when it's on the pizza and a little drizzle of olive oil, it really has that buttery flavor that even the crust tastes buttery. Yeah, I'm making myself mouth water over here. And I haven't had that in years. But my favorite pizza, even before I stopped eating meat, is called the ortolana, and I like the ortolana rosa. Now, there's no coincidence that the name ortolana, my name. So it's really funny because it's all vegetables, and specifically friarielle or frigerelli, the Neapolitan way to say it, which is rape. It's the it's kind of like a broccolini, and it's really, really yummy because the way they make it with the garlic and the olive oil, and then there's peppers in there, bell peppers, and eggplant, melanzane, aubergine. I love, love, love eggplant. And oh my gosh, it's just like, oh, buonissimo, buonissimo. What a mousse, you know? So much fun. And so those of you out there that are foodies like myself can totally relate, I'm sure. All right, let's check on here, and then we'll go back to this after I put some more. Well, the water's here. See, this is kind of how I operate. I'll think the water's right back there, and it's right in front of my face. That should be, well, just a little bit more. All right, that'll be plenty. That gives us a lot of cheese, so that I can make more taco meat because we're almost out. The way I made the last batch of taco meat, it's tangy right now because I used the chickpea miso, so it kind of gave it a little bit more of a kick. Yummy! I definitely want the potatoes. So, oop, I see some crispy crispies in here. Mm-hmm. Yummy, yummy. Oh my goodness, yummy. I'm telling you. So I've been spoiled in my life, and I've had some amazing foods over the course of living. Whether it was my dad's cooking, living abroad, I can tell you right now, I think I've had my fill of a lot of different foods, and that's where it was a lot easier, I think, from my transition, because I was fortunate to try so many different culinary cuisines and such vast palettes, flavors, right? Flavor bursts. That when I found out I was allergic to wheat and the gluten and all that, let me tell you, at first it was very mind-boggling, and it was the challenge of the mind, like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But believe it or not, it wasn't as bad as I thought in the beginning. It was almost like I had this internal voice that said, well, you've lived a pretty good life and you've had a lot of good food. It's not the end of the world. In fact, it's the beginning of a new world, which is what I believe this year is all about. Embracing the new. Don't poo-poo on the new, because you don't even know what it is yet. All right, that's done. That's gonna sit in there. This is already cooling down. It's just letting whatever moisture seep into what needs it. Now we're back to the cheese. See, I got a lot accomplished in these last, are we at 3 hours? Almost. All right, hold your ears. I hear more loving. All right, so let's see how that's going. I know there's an air pocket. I could hear it. When it doesn't sound like it's going all the way through. That means there's an air pocket. All right, now. Oh, tomorrow morning, first time ever, I've got to go interview for jury duty. I want to know how many of you out there have gone to jury duty. Have you ever served on a jury? This is the first time for me because I was in the Air Force, I was a government contractor, I was pretty much out of the area and exempt from any of that for years. First time now, I'm only 44 and a half years old and never done it. So this is gonna be interesting. Pockets of air. Okay, this should be good. There's the air pocket. There we go. Alright, now it should be nice, smooth, and creamy. Creamy-er. Oh yeah, that's much better. And what I could do is split this into 2 batches. One just plain as it is. I still want it creamier. And another with a little bit of herbs in it. And they'll be completely different flavors. Maybe a little bit of cheese. Nutritional use to it. All right, let's go one more round, and then I'm going to do that. Because I like to change it up and have variety in the kitchen, in the refrigerator. This will sit on the counter for the next. Oh, we just had the full moon, so sometimes I'll let things sit on the counter for like overnight, and it only needs a few hours. As soon as you put it in the fridge, it still continues to ferment, but it slows the fermentation process down. So the taste will actually get tangier and richer and change over the course of the fermentation. So even though it tastes really good now, whoa, hold on, Nelly. Whoa, Nelly, it's going to taste even better as it goes. So I didn't see any comments about Outlander. What's the deal? Who all watched it? Who's an Outlander fan with me? Little tricks of using these blenders. Sometimes you have to pulse it to get it to properly mix it entirely. That part's creamy. This part is much better. So we've got 32 ounces, 34 ounces. What I'm going to do is split this up and you can't see my head only because I'm over here. We're going to put them in for cheesy reasons. So, let's see, 34. I think that's good. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Like really, really good. So this is 2 cups in this one. And then, like I said, this is just going to sit out. And then I'm going to take that and add some nutritional yeast. And I think, yeah, this will have to be refilled anyway. So I always refill everything anyway. And that is about 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. And nutritional yeast has its own cheesy flavor, saltiness to it. This is going to need something to go in it, on top of it. Let's see what we got. That's small enough. I need just the right size of something round to fit in there, and I think this will work perfectly. Because I like to have something weighted if I can. See, look at that. That's absolutely perfect. Look how perfect that sits in there. Right inside, and it'll weigh down. And you could put more, like if I want to, I could put something more in here to give it a little bit more weight. But I don't want to give it too much weight because then it'll come up on the sides. And that'll be messy, and that's not what we want to do. So, I'll take that off for a second because I see it's already coming up on the sides over on one side. So this needs to be shifted in such a way. Ooh, that wasn't meant to be. Okay. Yum. See, sometimes it's not such a bad thing to lick your fingers. All right, there we go. All right, and that will sit on the counter again. And if you have a problem with bugs or fruit flies or anything, I highly recommend you put it someplace it's away from the bugs. So because I just saw a fruit fly, let me see what is a safe spot to put it in. Maybe up here is okay. So I just move this, move this. I just need to be reminded, hint, hint, that I put it up here. Somebody can comment or create a post in the group and ask, "Hey Lana, did you remember to take the cheese out of the cabinet? That would be helpful." Oh no, Iggy took a dive. Whoops, sorry about that, Iggy. I got him covered. Okay, now that's shut. I'm so sorry, Iggy. You're our ride or die. Dude. Sweetie. Alright, so he's always watching out, making sure the love is spread. And he's holding on for love. Simply because he's lovable. Mohawk and all. Alright, now, that's cool. Okay, so that's up there. The quinoa we'll put over here. That space right here. And I am curious how many of you have noticed comfort food cravings coming up during this full moon, because I know for myself, and I shared this earlier, comfort foods, I'm usually pretty good about recognizing and staving off a lot of it. But this past week, and I think a lot of it had to do with the whole moon cycle too, because I haven't had cravings. Although I haven't had any chocolate, so that's actually funny, because that would be the one healthy thing at least I'd be craving. But not that I've craved junk. I usually am just eating a bunch of stuff, and it's all healthy. It's just I don't necessarily need all that. And maybe I'm eating too much of a variety, which can mess with your digestion if you're eating too many different things. And I know in my case, the variety could be more of boredom, which again is taking me out of something that I need to confront and sit with. It's not that I'm hungry. The variety is the boredom, instead of doing what I need to be doing. All right, so this is going to go back in here. So much in the fridge. We got a lot of stuff in the fridge. All right, 9:05. We're gonna put some herbs in here now, which is what I like to do, is add herbs. So we have, let's see, do we want herbs de Provence or do we want Italian herbs? I'm gonna put a tad bit of some mustard seed. Let's do that. And then I'm gonna use some curry. That's what I'm feeling. Sometimes I make the cheese spicy. I've got some mochi. Is this the mochi curry, which is a Whole Foods brand, which is kind of cool. Haven't used this in a while. Smells so good. And there's some black pepper already mixed in it. So there's that. We're gonna add a little bit more water. When you use drier things, you just gotta add a little bit more water to take up the moisture, or to create that moisture. All right, Chipotle. I think that's good. Yeah, we're good there. Now, adding the water. And after this, I pretty much would be done for tonight, I think, because all the food's ready. I can take the quinoa out for what I need it. The food, because everything else is hot, if I even have quinoa, I probably won't, because the potatoes are starchy, and so this is my favorite part. I like licking it up here. So good. Yum, yum, yum. Okay, this should be our last round of noisiness over here. Oops, let's do this. Okay, there we go. And begin. It's definitely different. Not extremely different. There's a tang to it. But just the curry difference. Because there is a little bit of a spice kick to it. Just very subtly. And the one thing I do sometimes do is I'll add some of my kimchi to it to give it that other fermentation and the kick of the spice. That's the one thing I didn't do tonight. But that's an option. And you should try this at home. And do whatever you feel drawn and motivated to do. I'm going to add a little bit more of the curry, and I think that'll be good, because I really want a little bit more of a powerful kick to this. It's going to be more yellow for sure. Last round. And I really like this mochi curry that Whole Foods came up with. I don't know anybody else who has it. There's a particular flavor to it that's unique. It. We are happy in the house. And so this one has a little bit more of a yellowing to it, see? Yeah. Alrighty then. Now, the piece de resistance is to pour. And look at that beautiful yumminess. Oh. And we have equal parts. And then whatever's left over, somebody gets to lick out of this picture. Now, I have a couple ways of handling this. Let's see what I got. I have a special spatula, so I get all the sides. I don't like to miss a beat. When my food is good, I'm just going to tell you, I will lick it all out. I'm not shy about that. Most of you know that about me already. And by the way, thank you for tuning in tonight. I'm very grateful to you all. You make life worth showing up for, especially, not just my own little showing up for myself and my family and friends and all the people I love. I show up for everyone, is my opinion. It's the more we do the work for ourselves, the more we're doing it for the whole collective, each one of us. We serve through our own personal lives. And sometimes we don't even know how that is, but that's not the point. The point is that you show up as you are. That way you can give others that inspiration and motivation and permission to do the same. So, this batch is done. I know the ninja is like ready to try. This is my favorite spatula. And that is really, really yummy. Alrighty. Do you wanna, can you love spin boom, baby?
Yep.
I love it.
Try.
Bring it, baby.
Okay, love, spin, boom, high five, keep it raw, stay rad.
So this is number 2.
Yay.
Cheesy cheese, a couple of varieties. You know
Hi
how
Jason,
much-
hi Tom. Thank you all for joining, beautiful Miss Lana.
And Mr. Tom.
She kicked butt in here. We love you. If you haven't joined our group, join our group today, RADiculously, RawThentic. Go on there, Ninja Flip in there, and tell us a story. Ready?
Boom!
I got a broken neck. Redo it. Boom, boom. Keep it raw, stay rad. Okay, we're gonna do let's boom. Ready, set, go.
Boom! Keep it raw, stay rad. Wah, wah.